and welcome to Let's Get Growing. It's Jo here, the educational gardener from Bulwell Forest Garden in Nottingham, and we are in the first half of October and we've just had some lovely sunny days and a little bit of a late summer going on, but I think that's kind of ended and the nights are starting to draw in. There's a little bit of a chill start in the air and we're due to get some quite wet weather, I think, and you can see that the leaves have started to respond and they're changing colour and they're starting to do their reds and oranges, but it's still a beautiful time of year and it's a great time to get out in the garden and think ahead for next spring. So let's get cracking, let's get growing. This week's pack. So the first thing you should have in your pack is a packet of seeds. So we've got some broad beans, and the variety that we sow in at this time of year is called Super Aquadulce, and so this is a variety that's really well adapted to very cold weather, so it's the best one to sow in sort of October, November, and hopefully it'll be ready to harvest by next June. I think some things like the Sutton are more suited to container growing, but they're not as hardy as these, so we might try and do some Sutton later on in early, in February time maybe. So you've got 6 seeds, so I'm going to be sowing these into toilet roll tubes, and I've put the toilet roll tubes inside a mushroom punnet which has got drainage holes in the bottom. So I'm filling each tube up with some peat-free compost, and then all I'm going to do is dib a hole, and the seeds want to be about twice their own depth, and they're quite big, are broad bean seeds, so I'm going to plant them on the sides to try and stop them from rotting and push them down, and I'll do that. In fact, it's probably easier with my finger. One into each tube. Now the biggest problem that we've had sowing them last year was that we had a mouse sort of running amok in here who liked to wait for them the seeds to germinate and then to have a nice snack on them. So what I'm going to do, after I've covered them up, press them down, I've got my label in there, is I've got another fruit punnet which I'm going to put over, get quite a nice fit on there to try and foil any mice for the time being. So that's the Aquadulce broad beans. Now the next thing in your pack is quite exciting. So you should have a packet of tulip bulbs, and we're there at that time of year where we're planting tulip bulbs ready for next spring. So these are some lovely orange tulips. So I'm going to plant them. I've recycled one of my pots that the sunflowers were in, so I'm going to plant these 3 times their own depth. So let's look at the side of the pot. So that's 1, 2, 3. So I've filled my pot up to here with my recycled compost, and I've put a bit of leaf mould in, and then I'm going to just put my bulbs in. So I'm going to put them with the pointy side up, and that's where the shoot will grow, and this side is where the roots will grow. So I'm just going to space them out in my pot so you can see, and then I'm going to cover them with a little bit of compost. And then what I thought would look really nice with them, with the orange tulips, is the wallflowers that we grew. So you should have got them when they were quite small, only you didn't all collect your packs, I noted, but we still have some if you want to pick them up now, but they won't be as advanced as these ones and as healthy, so that's like a really good reason to collect your packs when they're newly made up. So we're going to put the three wallflowers that we grew in with the tulips. So I'm just going to tip. I'm not going to disturb the root system, it doesn't need teasing out. And I'm going to put one in here, one there, this one's not as strong, and then one there. So we should have a really nice display there. oranges and reds in the spring. So that's our tulips and wallflowers. And then finally, the last thing in your pack that you should have, that you don't need to do anything with really, because again we've only just propagated these, and this is a Shasta Daisy. So Shasta Daisy is a hardy perennial. You can keep these outside all year round. It'll gradually grow and clump up, and then you'll have these lovely daisy flowers, and it's a very robust hardy plant that's good for wildlife. So although you don't need to do anything with that at the moment, I can show you again briefly how I propagated these. So this is a clump that was dug up from the garden, and then we're going for some new growth on here. I don't want this woody old growth, I want this new growth, and I want a little bit of a heel of the old growth on. So I've just sliced down there. So I've got a little bit of root system there and a little bit of a heel. So I'm just going to take off the bigger leaves, because I want the plant to put the energy into growing some roots. I've got a little pot of peat-free compost. I'll put my cutting in there. Press down, and you can do this as many times as you want and make lots and lots of new plants with it. That one's probably a bit better because you can see the root system a little bit better. I've got a few more roots on there, and so then again I would take off these leaves and pop it in a pot. And that's it for this week's pack. So let's move on and just have a little look at plants from previous packs. And just a few plants to show you from previous packs. So the landcress that we sowed 2 weeks ago is starting to germinate in this pot here. With the decreasing light levels and it getting darker earlier, a lot of seeds germination rate slows down, but they're doing okay, so I'm quite happy with them. And then remember, we tried to get a late crop of French beans, and these were dwarf beans, and we put 3 in a pot, and I'm very happy with these. Look at these. So these have done really well. These have been one of my success stories, because my early ones that I tried to grow in pots got eaten by slugs. So there's plenty on here to harvest. And then the other thing that I've got that I kind of forgot about was the pot of carrots. And I did pull a few, but look at them. So we've got some nice little carrots to go with the beans there. I'll pull a few of them out, and there's still more in there, but leave some more in there. And then finally the strawberry plant. Strawberries grow really quickly, and so we need to check on them and see if it's time for them to go to a new pot, and I suspect this is. So how do we check? How do we find out if it needs to go in a new pot? We tip it up, we take it out, and we have a look at its root system, and it's grown quite an extensive root system there, so it's time to put it into the next size up pot. So how do we do that? We just put some peat-free compost in the bottom of our pot, transplant our strawberry, put compost around it, and give it a water. Put our label back in, and just try not to do it too deep, because otherwise if you put its crown under there it will rot. So that's my strawberry. And just to end with my plant of the week, and this is this lovely Cosmos Sensation. These are an annual, and at this time of year they just keep on flowering, keep on producing, and they're very hardy and very robust, and they've had very little attention from us, but you can deadhead them and you can save the seeds for next year, and aren't they just gorgeous? So please come and pick up your packs. Let us know how you're getting on our Facebook page, and get out in your garden and get enjoying the autumn. It's a beautiful time of year. So thanks very much for watching. Happy growing.